Hi there, it's Jermaine from livewellzone.com, and today I'm going to be sharing 5 self-care tips that you can use during your menstrual cycle. Now, these tips will be helpful not just at the physical level to ease things like cramps or maybe even bloating, but they can also help you to just experience a little bit more ease in your mind and in your body, and maybe lift some of that weight, especially the emotional weight that can come with the menstrual cycle, where maybe you feel a little heavy emotionally, a little anxious, a little just a lot of blues basically. So these tips are going to address different aspects of diet as well as of lifestyle, so that you can take care of your body during this very important time of the month. So the first tip is to eat light and wholesome foods. Okay, so the menstrual cycle is already very taxing and it's a lot of work for your body. So when it comes to your food choices, you want to select things that are not going to add additional work, especially if you have symptoms of discomfort, especially if you have something like cramps. That's already some indication that the body's already struggling, that there's some level of inflammation going on. So you want your food choices to not potentially add to that discomfort or add to the inflammation. So anything that is light, easy to digest, and that is as least processed or least refined as possible is going to be ideal. So of course we have the usual suspects, your nuts, seeds, whole grains, fruits, and veggies. It goes without saying that you want to play around with some combination of those during your menstrual cycle. Now, in terms of the actual types of meals, things like soups, for example, they're great because again, there's a lot of water. It's going to help to keep you hydrated. If you're making a soup, you're probably putting something like a broth in there. It could be a veggie broth, could be bone broth. Those are going to be rich in minerals, which are going to help support the body, give you nutrients that can help to reduce that inflammation, and ultimately start to also help to ease the menstrual pain, or even things like bloating again, for example, and even help to lift your mood. So soups are going to be great. Things like Buddha bowls, if you're making a Buddha bowl using root vegetables. So root vegetables are very grounding, and sometimes you can have a certain level maybe of agitation, again, especially in the mind to some degree with the menstrual cycle. So anything that is grounding, we're talking about things like beets or sweet potatoes, squash. And then lastly, fermented foods. This can be helpful again just to support your gut, and that is going to be beneficial to just help you regulate your hormones. Okay, so that is the first thing. Now, along the same lines, tip number 2 has to do with your breakfast choice. And here I'm going to talk about starting your day with a smoothie, preferably a green smoothie. So breakfast really sets the tone for the day, right? So here again, we're continuing that theme of just keeping something light. You want to start your day with a lot of nutrients, and you also want to be hydrated. A smoothie is going to give you all of that. Okay, so you can do, like I said, a green smoothie. All you need to do is just grab, maybe something like blueberries plus baby spinach plus a banana. You could throw in a pineapple. Pineapple has an enzyme called bromelain that is, again, very helpful for easing inflammation and for helping with pain, so you can give that a try. You also are going to get a fair amount of fiber if you start your day with a smoothie, right? Because you're blending those veggies, you're blending the whole fruits. You could add in maybe a healthy fat in the form of avocado, or maybe a nut butter, so like almond butter or peanut butter. That's another option. So play around with some combination of those ingredients and really start your day with just a shot of nourishment that is going to feed you, but then still be easy for your body to process. Moving on to the third tip, and this one is about doing light and gentle exercise. So as you can see, there's a theme here, right? We're just trying to keep things as easy as possible. Okay, so for exercise, you really don't want to be pushing yourself during your menstrual cycle. We certainly live in a culture that just says, well, you can just keep going and keep going through your cycle, but really that is not beneficial, because again, exercise can be stressful especially if you're doing high intensity at the wrong time of the month. And this is one time of the month where your body just wants as much comfort and pampering as possible. Okay, so you want to, if you're going to do something more on the cardio side, maybe do just a light walk, nothing too intense. Okay, certainly yoga is going to be another obvious choice here, especially yin yoga. You kind of want to avoid going to maybe very like a power yoga or ashtanga class, or a hot yoga class. This is not necessarily the time for that, but a yin yoga class is going to be great, because yin yoga, you stay in those poses for 5, 10, 15 minutes. You have a lot of support, right, from cushions and the yoga block and different things. So that really helps to relax your nervous system, because again, the nervous system here, that is, we're starting to talk about the HPA axis, we're starting to talk about stress, and we're starting to talk about inflammation. If we can get the nervous system to relax as much as possible, that starts to bring down inflammation, that starts to bring down the stress response, bring down cortisol, and that can have a positive ripple effect on all of your hormones, and certainly on your sex hormones in particular. Okay, so yin yoga is going to be great. Tai Chi, Qigong is another great one. I've started practicing Qigong myself here on YouTube. There's lots of good videos, so you definitely want to check out Qigong if it's something you've never played around with. It really helps to move stuck energy, and it's very, very different from yoga, and it's just something you have to try for yourself. So something else to consider. Now, tip number 4 is about switching to non-toxic feminine hygiene products. So we're talking here about pads and tampons, but especially when it comes to tampons, because those are sitting in your body for an extended period of time, all right? And the concern here is that the cotton that is used to make these products, the commercially available ones, which are usually going to be made from genetically modified cotton, that is cotton that has been genetically modified to produce or release its own pesticide. Okay, so there is concern that basically having that in your body, that your tissues are basically absorbing potentially some trace amount of pesticides. Because if you sit and think about it logically, it's like, do you want something that is all organic and natural sitting in you or not? That's really what it boils down to. Now, the good thing is these days there are lots of brands that make clean products. Okay, so Cora is one that I've used before. They're fantastic. I think they have like one of the absolute best panty liners. Like, they stay in place, they don't move, they are like engineered to perfection. Another one that I currently use is Elle. So you can get Elle from Target, which is where I get it. I believe you could potentially also get it, I think, in Walmart. I may have seen it there. So those are 2 brands that I personally am aware of that are available at regular stores. Okay, so but there's lots more that you can look into. Nature Care, that is I believe imported from Europe but available here in the US. I've also used that, and you tend to find Nature Care more in like health stores, generally speaking. So that's another brand to look into. All right, and then the final tip that I have for you, and this might actually be the most important for some of you, is to disconnect for a day or 2, however long you need, but listen to your body. And the reason I say disconnect is because, again, we spend so much of our time just doing. So maybe we're working, we're taking care of others, but we're putting out a lot of energy. And your menstrual cycle requires you to go back, to go home, and to nurture yourself and to spend more time with yourself. Okay, so, and as much as you can to disconnect, and by that I mean for sure disconnecting from social media just for a period of time, because you will be amazed at how much more space is created in your brain, in your head, and how much more easy and relaxed you feel, just because you're not being bombarded with a lot of the madness that can come from social media. Not all of it is bad, but it can be. And just removing yourself from that for a period of time and just retreating can be so helpful for, again, your stress and inflammation levels. Okay, so rather than spend a lot of time giving out, figure out ways that you can to at least have some time just for yourself, to basically go into your cocoon. You need it, you deserve it. It is super important. Okay, so during that time, again, you can just get some extra sleep. You can read, you could drink an herbal tea, have some chamomile. It's going to relax your body. Chamomile is great for the menstrual cycle in terms of, especially for cramps. I'm going to be doing another video to talk about that. But just relax as much as possible, because it will it's basically a cumulative effect. The more you practice it, it might feel awkward at first, but the more you practice it, the more you're actually going to enjoy that feeling, and the more you'll notice your body, and then you'll also have time to actually listen to your body and see what it actually needs at any given moment. Because really, taking care of yourself during your period is not so much about me or anybody else giving you tips, but it's about listening to your body. Like the better you get at just having that conversation with your body and being there, you're going to be so good at knowing exactly what foods, exactly what herbal tea, exactly what type of exercise. Like, you're just gonna figure it out intuitively, but it takes practice. Okay, so those are my 5 tips for self-care during your period. I do have additional tips on my website. I have a whole article that has 10 self-care tips for your period. So I will link to that, and you can go check that out and get some more info to help you during your cycle. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this information helpful, and if you did, don't hesitate to share this with anybody else that would benefit from this information. If you have comments, questions, as always, leave them below the video. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks again for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.